Happy New Year and welcome to the ACC on ESPN. It's the final non-conference game of the year for the Harvard Crimson out of the Ivy League as they come down to North Carolina to take on the Tar Heels out of the ACC. 9-3 in the first meeting between these two schools since the 2015 NCAA tournament. So glad to have you with us here tonight inside the Smith Center. Mike Cousins and former Notre Dame big man Jordan Cornette. As we go into 2019, as the kids say, it's all about new year, new me. But for North Carolina, that hasn't been the case because what they've done has been a style very reminiscent of what's kept them atop the ACC.
Yeah, if you're talking Instagram with the posts that you're seeing everywhere, this team, post-worthy North Carolina. They are fun to watch offensively. They rack up points. How about better than 91 points per game? They play fast. They crush you on the backboard. What Carolina does, they dictate the type of game it's going to be, Mike Cousins.
And for Harvard, pick number 1 in the Ivy League preseason poll. They're not at full strength, but Tommy Amaker says even though we don't have what we had, we still have enough to win the league.
They got some ACC caliber bodies, and the guy you don't want to fight in the bar, the one with nothing to lose, and that's Harvard. I don't condone fighting of any sort, might I add, here in 2019.
I don't want to fight anybody.
The year of love.
Harvard 6-5. And North Carolina 9-3. First look at the bucket doesn't go, and there's Chris Lewis, the leading scorer for the Crimson, to start the scoring tonight. Johnson, White, May, Brooks, and Williams, the starting 5 for North Carolina. And it falls for Brooks, the sophomore, to put Carolina with its first 2 of the night. A little bit shorthanded in the post tonight for UNC is Sterling Manley. The sophomore from Ohio is out with a left knee injury, a sore left knee. And North Carolina says no timetable yet on his return. And we'll see what type of an impact that has as the night goes on for the big man, averaging about 12 minutes a game. Foul on the drive as Bassie, the junior from Denver, goes to the line.
There's a look at Manley, a guy without a doubt that this team will be missing. Another rim protector, one that doesn't have a lot of them. What they do have is bullies on the low block to get after you on the backboard. He is one of those guys. But Mike, you get a look at this game out of the gates in the first 60 seconds. It's playing at a feverish pace. That benefits one team. I'll give you a hint. It ain't Harvard.
Bassie averaging 11 a game. Empty on the second one. Heart and soul of the team, according to Tommy Amaker, the head coach. He's got more wins than anybody else in Harvard hoops history. Mid-range off the glass. Brooks has the first 4 for UNC.
Well, throwback using the glass from 15 feet. That's what you like to see from your bigs. Fundamentally sound.
Here's Juzang, the junior guard who came on in a major way last year, helping Harvard to the top of the league. Left side, Danilo Juricic, the sophomore from Ontario, evens it up.
It's just a good feel of the game down low. Chris Lewis fields that double team dump off. It's an easy game.
And May responds. Harvard's picked up victories in back-to-back games, wins over George Washington. And then as part of a long road trip they've been on right now, on the road since the 28th of December, win over Mercer in Atlanta, a 4-point victory. Tommy Amaker now in a dozen seasons at the helm at Harvard, played in the first Division I game in this building back on January 18th, 1986. Number 1 versus number 3 matchup, North Carolina and Duke. Certain to see some familiar faces here as he comes back to the triangle.
Didn't get a victory that night. Hoping to get one on the sidelines as a head coach here.
95-92 was the Carolina final score over Duke in that game back in '86. Here's the speedy White. Once he gets to the free throw line, it's anybody's guess. This time he's got a pair. The freshman out of Goldsboro, North Carolina.
That's what fuels Carolina. That defense to get you out for the leakouts and go for some early offense. Vintage Tar Heels.
Juricic from three. 43% three-point shooter. He's got 5 of the first 7 for the Crimson.
And that's where Harvard can have some success. Drive, kick, get that defense shifty. Can they connect from distance consistently?
Massey had the rebound and was getting back up the floor quickly. Chris Lewis and Danilo Juricic got tangled up with one another down at the other end of the floor, so it ended up being a 3-on-5 break. Advantage Carolina on defense. Front of the iron for Corey Johnson, who's been a hot hand from 3 over the last 5 games. Been a good start for Brooks, who sends that one wide left.
Good position, defense down low. Let the player come to you, not violate, force a low percentage shot. Those are the kind of wins, positive defensive possessions for the Crimson.
Lob inside for Lewis, and he gets hooked on the interior. 1-point lead for Carolina in the early going.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. What's in your wallet?
Last Harvard and North Carolina met a lot on the line. March 19th of 2015, second round of the NCAA tournament. 1:17 to go. Siani Chambers from 3. Harvard's up by 1. Now down to 48 seconds left. Justin Jackson, floater. Tie game 65 with 31 seconds left. Still tied. Harvard gets a couple good looks, including this one from Chambers from 3. He comes up empty, and Justin Jackson makes it a 2-point Tar Heels lead. They hang on 67-65, the final score. Now it's a different look Harvard team this year at this juncture of the season because they're without 2 of their best players right now, Bryce Aiken and Seth Towns.
And what you're missing in those 2 guys, Mike, you're missing your playmaker, your guy who can get to the basket, challenge this Carolina defense, and you're missing the guy who's your floor general, who runs the offense, gets the pieces in place.
Johnson misses the bucket. May is fouled as he goes back up. So here's what they're missing out on right now. Both guys with knee injuries, no timetable for their returns right now. You're looking at 30 points a game between those 2 guys. Towns got hurt in the Ivy title game back in March. A top rebounder for them too, and the reigning Ivy League Player of the Year in Seth Towns.
Yeah, and how about this, Mike? This is a team that was able to boast coming into the season. Hey, we're second in the nation in what we're returning. 99.4% of the scoring coming back. So this team, chest puffed out, ready to take on whomever, even Carolina, and then you lose those 2 pieces into the season. So it's tough for them on that front.
It's a coach's dream to be able to bring back almost 100% of your scoring. So they're hoping to do today what some other teams have done already this year. Penn knocked off Villanova, ended their 25-game winning streak in the series between Philadelphia schools there. Princeton knocking off Arizona State. Lucas Dort has gotten cold as of late for the Sun Devils, and Brown going across the country up by as many as 34 points to get a win over San Diego State. Here comes Noah Kirkwood, freshman out of Ottawa.
It's just a tough decision from Cameron Johnson there, trying to thread the needle to Luke May. Let's say Luke is able to handle that basketball. A defender awaiting him would have been a potential charge violation there anyway. Hold up, reset, run some offense.
Welsh front rims it over May. White working against Spencer Friedman, who's called for the foul on the floor against the freshman out of Mater Dei High School. Speaking of fouls, Garrison Brooks sitting with 2. So that's hurt him now their last 3 games, including that win against Davidson on Saturday, where they played very well defensively, according to the numbers, maybe not according to the players, but field goal percentage-wise they did. So that's that's an important guy to have 2 fouls right now, especially with Sterling Manley out today.
And that's something that's hurt this team. Davidson hung tight in the beginning of that contest because of those fouls. And you could argue that Kentucky game went south because of Brooks getting into some foul trouble.
And as Brooks went to the bench, the standout freshman Nasir Little, who grabs that rebound, came onto the floor. Johnson down the lane. He scores much earlier than he did on Saturday, when it took him about the 6-minute mark of the first half to get his first 2. And with that spurt, the Tar Heels are doubling up the Crimson. Timeout, Harvard. After a long layoff, not having played since before Christmas, Duke is back to action as they take on Clemson at Cameron Indoor. First conference game for both teams. It's been about 24 years since the Tigers have won in Durham. That game 8 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. It's Duke and Clemson, and this has been the group that has been the scoring engine for Duke so far.
They love to talk Barrett, Williamson, even a little bit of Reddish, but I really enjoy the point guard play of Jones and how he gets all those guys in place and really sets the table for that team, both defensively and handling as their primary guy.
Rare three-pointer there for Robert Baker. Just his second at 8 tries this year, and it stops a Carolina run.
Really interesting watching Baker earlier today in a shoot-around. Young man didn't miss 15 straight attempts, nothing but net. So maybe that shoot-around carried over, got a little bit of juice here and some confidence on the big stage. Has that perimeter skill to challenge the length of these perimeter defenders for the Tar Heels. Expect him to log heavy minutes.
Down to just 8 to shoot here for Harvard. Friedman's got range. Langs it back iron. And the rebound down to 7 Woods for UNC. Into the corner, it's Little. May was tangled up for the rebound, and Haskett, the sophomore from Richmond, Virginia, throws it off his foot. Ball back to Harvard, 12-24 in the first.
Take a look on the hustle play. Just great execution right there. You got to give credit to Harvard. Look, we're only 7.5 minutes into this one, but they battled on the defensive backboard, eliminating for the most part second chance opportunities for this Carolina team, and that's where they can really hurt you.
See the spectacular hair of Mason Forbes, the freshman for Harvard, who's got the ball right now coming into the game. Challenging Kobe White for perhaps best flow on the floor.
Yeah, and he likes to say fear the fro. Can he make you fear his game this evening?
Already the third turnover in the first 8 minutes for Harvard. Back the other way, and Lewis palms it out of bounds.
It's crucial for Harvard to keep in this one. They're going to have to make sure to get back and protect home. And that's exactly what you get from Lewis. Meet me at the rim. The meat's undercooked. Send it back.
Well, they need him to be a much bigger interior presence, not only as a shot blocker, but also as a rebounder as well. That's one area where Tommy Amaker, his head coach, has said he's been disappointed in Lewis's play, only averaging 3 rebounds a game. May gets a clean look. Kirkwood going to work on Little. One great freshman against another. Into the lane, offensive foul against Bassie.
Robinson giving this team a lift. Carolina starting to trend upward. Doing it with some defense, but it starts with May in the month of January. Robinson sucks that defense. When May gets the feet set, watch out. Carolina coming.
Good doubleheader. We've got Oklahoma and Kansas following this one. Sooners, one of the top defensive teams inside the three-point arc this year. And it's a great matchup. Christian James, Dedrick Lawson. Don't forget, Udoka Azubuike is back. He came back Saturday after missing 4 games with an ankle sprain for the Jayhawks. Dropped a cool 23-9 in just 20 minutes. It's been a surprise season so far from Oklahoma. Picked 8th preseason in the Big 12. And they've been vaulted into the top 25 already.
Yeah, large in part because of the performance of James, and they got one heck of a coach and Coach Kruger on the sidelines. But I love what Lawson has given these Jayhawks. The Memphis transfer doesn't elevate as high as some, but he is mighty productive.
Nice effort from Kenny Williams getting the deflection. 15 to shoot here for Harvard.
Keep an eye on number 10 for Harvard, Noah Kirkwood, 6'7" freshman. He's got the body to compete in this caliber game, coming off 19 points versus Mercer. Watch for his vision, Mike, how he handles the basketball, his ability to make plays. He can knock down shots, shooting a high percentage, 50% from the field, 45 from three. Can they get Kirkwood going to remain in this game? Because that's really what Harvard wants to do, hang around and get weird.
There's a good eye from Jeff Clark, the official, to add 7 more seconds back onto the shot clock there. Juzang pulls up from 3, and the foul is on Carolina's Luke May, his first.
Overzealous defense. You like what you're trying to do here in May with the contest, but came a little too far in right there. Juzang sold it. Didn't really have to. There was indeed contact.
Harvard's a team that goes deep with Tommy Amaker at the helm. And one of the phrases that Amaker uses is bench and balance. So he doesn't think we would have gotten where we did last year in the Ivy League without trusting our ability to go deep on the bench, play him as a sophomore. And he's got a younger brother coming up behind him who's a junior in high school.
Yeah, and he's got some big-time schools looking at him. I think Coach Amaker's crossing his fingers hoping, but I think realistically, he might go to a higher level. But what's interesting about that deep bench for Harvard is it can be the antidote to the deep bench for Carolina. Carolina can overwhelm you by using a lot of bodies off that bench. But if Harvard can stay fresh by going deep into theirs, that kind of lessens the gap a little bit.
Help side defense ready and waiting for Harvard. Lewis gets his second block. From the short corner, fades away, no. Deep three.
They're sending the house. It's a full-on blitz from Carolina. Their best offense at times is a missed shot. And they try and go back and get it. Harvard's got to be ready. They were there the second time around on the block out. Ultimately, North Carolina violates.
Foul is on Brandon Robinson.
Harvard fans at home, hoping to stay in this one. Tally points, obviously, but also look at offensive rebounds. If that starts ticking higher and higher in favor of North Carolina, turn the TV off, go catch a movie, go do something else. It's not going to be pretty. Take a walk, New Year's resolutions, maybe exercise. Right now, Harvard hanging tough.
Hey, man, diet starts tomorrow.
It always does.
And every tomorrow after that. Juzang wants 3. He's got it, and Harvard back within 1.
Carolina wasting no time trying to get out, seek some early offense.
And that's one of the things, too, that Roy Williams was saying where his team could improve is the team being able to keep up with the speed of Kobe White getting down the floor. Late tack off on the three-point try. Now, that last possession wasn't necessarily White beating the teammates down the floor, but that's the type of speed he'd like to see from the other guards getting down and matching his pace to get easy looks.
And I like this Carolina team a lot, and that's why you've seen them with some big wins, most notably the Zags win over Gonzaga, but this is a team at times, they'll get the good look, they can't make the shot. They've struggled a little bit with their perimeter shooting. That could open the door for Harvard potentially.
Shot clock dwindles to 2, and it's an easy finish for Forbes. Harvard has the lead. Shot clock has gone down on them a few times, but what Tommy Amaker said as he takes his second time out of the half here is that if our offense is not early, if it doesn't come on the fast break, then we want it late. We want to drain the number of possessions in this game, make them as few as possible, and give us the longest chance to stay alive against the number 15 team in the country.
But still be opportunistic, as you said. If there's something early, they will take that. This is not just burn the clock down and really try to slow it down. It's, hey, push, initial thrust. We have something great. If we don't, like you said, Mike, work that thing around. But the pace right now in favor of Harvard, you can tell that last look from Kobe White Carolina so desperately wants to play fast. But Harvard, with these offensive possessions, start to have some success, have slowed it down successfully.
6 Ivy League titles for Tommy Amaker. Got their first NCAA tournament victory back in 2013. And has gone to the NCAA tournament 4 times. Native of Falls Church, Virginia, who Roy said, I remember watching him when he was in high school.
He said he was lost for 4 years of his life. He can't figure that back. I think he was addressing those years at Duke, perhaps.
Subtly done.
Can't have those, Mike. Can't have the unforced errors. Defense had no impact on that one. Just couldn't manage the basketball. You cannot give Carolina opportunities like that on their home floor. Can they capitalize?
Your leading scorer, Cam Johnson, 17 points a game. Right now sitting on 2. He's got the ball.
Bad shot. No advantage to be had. How about getting some screens for your guy to get him going? Standing still, defender in his face, that's low percentage. I don't care how hot you are or have been.
Which team has been more active on the offensive end so far?
Without question, it's been Harvard.
There's Bassie with 2.
You win a 50-50 basketball like that. I don't love Carolina in the half court, and that's kind of been trending for them for a while. Plays like that, playing fast, getting something going in the early seconds of the shot clock. It's when Carolina, without question, is at their best.
5th in scoring in the country, North Carolina sitting about 91 points a game. 7:35 left in the first. When we come back, Tommy Amaker says this moment, this day, was the most meaningful in his 12 years at Harvard. December 30th, a big day for Harvard basketball in Atlanta, visiting Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. was baptized, was a co-pastor with his father. His funeral was held there. And they met Jimmy Carter, now 94 years old, the 39th president of the United States, and then visited the tomb of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, Coretta Scott King. When you play basketball at Harvard, they tell you it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. Some great connections with Harvard basketball. Reverend Jonathan Walton, who's the minister at Harvard's Memorial Church. Coach Amaker said, look, I'm making you the quarterback for this trip. I need you to make it meaningful for our players, to make sure that, they've been on the road since December 28th when they went from Boston to Atlanta. They played at State Farm Arena against Mercer and now finish it up. And they'll go home tomorrow morning. There's a 3 from Cam Johnson who gets going. He's got 5.
It had tip to Coach Amaker to set up something like that for his guys, understanding what's enriched these guys as players, but also life experience.
And they've got another Harvard connection there with David Gergen, who worked in the Ford and Reagan administrations, now is a professor at Harvard, to say, hey, you can get an in there with President Carter. 7 different presidents have a degree from Harvard. Now let's flip that trivia question. How many presidents have a degree from the University of North Carolina?
I'm going to go ahead and say 3.
Minus 2, and you've got your answer.
Okay,
1, the 11th, James K. Polk.
I don't know. I think if you took a vote, people would say Michael Jordan was once a president as well, my friend.
Does GOAT count as president? Eighth turnover of the first half for Harvard.
A team that averages better than 16 giveaways per game, Harvard, in terms of being turnover prone. It was a worry of Coach Amaker's coming into this one, especially when you talk about the lengthy athletes and the athleticism that is in Carolina blue. You simply can't have those. Harvard has to be good on the backboard, has to take care of the basketball. Then you see where the chips fall from there.
Their turnover margin, -5 a game, comes in 5th worst in the country. That's more than 300 Division I basketball teams. So certainly room for improvement there for the Crimson. 6.5 to go in the first half, still a 4-point game. What a sweep back crossover from White. His three is no good. Passing right into it. No shortage of confidence for the junior. Robinson going high-low for Brooks, who's back into the game with 2 fouls. Wouldn't be surprising to see Harvard go right at him. Johnson comes up with a steal, and White's got the accelerator to the floor against Friedman.
I'd look to reestablish a jumper from Johnson, run him off something, get a little feel for your leading scorer's ability to knock down some shots.
Last couple looks, not been great for Carolina.
Poor shot selection indeed, and leaving the door open for a Harvard team that is getting looks, giving the basketball away a little bit too often. Coach Amaker talks about positive possessions, and that doesn't necessarily mean scoring. It means running good offense, taking care of it, and getting a good shot. A high emphasis on that for Harvard.
3 to shoot. Friedman's got to be the one to pull it, and it's just a little bit too late. Monday on ESPN, the culmination of the college football season. It's the college football playoff. Alabama and Clemson, round number 4. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. An intriguing test here for the Alabama defense. Promising window for Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for Clemson. Look at Jake Fromm, the SEC title game. He went for 300 yards. Kyler Murray threw for 308, Oklahoma, Alabama. We've seen some high-scoring games between these two. See how Clemson fares against Alabama come Monday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Let me tell you, I haven't been in Dallas to watch Notre Dame Clemson, me being a Notre Dame alum.
Nice humble brag. You're dropping that in there, thank you.
It's tough to brag after you saw what happened in Dallas, right? I'm going all in on Clemson. I think an Alabama fan just threw the basketball at me over here as I said that. I'm going with Clemson, man. That is a darn good defense. It's a mighty fine quarterback who I'm finding a hard time believing is a freshman. It's going to be one heck of a contest.
Chris Lewis to the line. What a summer this guy had. Spent his internship at Facebook out on the West Coast, putting a prototype app together to connect middle school and high school students with mentors around their areas. Said he was inspired by his former teammate, Chris Egge, who, by the way, if you go on YouTube, you can watch him. He was one of just 3 students who got to speak at Harvard's commencement last year. Gets up there, no notes. One of the students has to, according to Harvard's notes, present in Latin. And Egge talked about giving opportunity to everybody, no matter who they are. Really, really cool that he was inspired by his teammate and now is turning that into something that also follows his passion for a guy who's a member, Lewis is, of Harvard's robotics club.
Hey, Mike, look, I had a hard time making ramen as a freshman in my dorm room, let alone doing something like that. But that speaks to Chris Lewis. And not only a talent on the floor, but a mighty talented young man who's going to have an impact either on the court or off it in life. But going back to on the floor here, establishing May down low. I think that's something Carolina can explore a little bit more. I know and understand that May is a dynamic talent that's inside, outside. But with his body type, I think he can bury this Harvard defense down low and pursue some back-to-the-basket opportunities.
So you're taking him against Lewis?
Lewis has been an active shot blocker, but how is he one-on-one against who a lot of people believe could be the National Player of the Year coming into the season? I think he's earned the right to have the opportunities down low in May.
May's now got 10, the leading scorer for either side. On the lob, it's turned away. Here goes Little, jams with 2. Explosive from floor to rim in the blink of an eye.
Again, the defense keys it all. Kenny Williams, active hands, athletes fill lanes, and Little with the finish.
Harvard attacks at the other end with a foul on May, his second. 6 points the difference.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
Year's resolution, Dallin. Just trying to be a little bit nicer to everybody in 2019. Carolina, you're right though, guys, just shooting 39%, including 2 of 10 from 3. But this 8-point advantage here with 3.5 to go before the break is their largest of the night.
And it's almost like Sean Farnham's playing basketball Buddhas there, saying North Carolina needs to play fast, so they go out and get one really quick right there. But without question, a staple to success for the Tar Heels is that early offense. Got to find a way to execute at a higher clip in the half court. And it starts with shot-making ability, and from distance, this team struggles mightily at this point in the season.
They spread out the scoring so far. Harvard's leading scorer is Christian Juzang with 6. Perimeter foul against UNC is on Leaky Black, the freshman, his first, and it's a 1-and-1.
And we would talk about that half-court execution for North Carolina. Well, they're pretty solid inside the arc, but when they decide to settle for threes, 20%, 2 of 10 here, 17 minutes into the contest. Those are the kind of things that make Carolina beatable. A team that's good in so many different areas. Can they hurt you in the half court? Can they make shots when they need to?
All right, in a nod to Dallin, I won't say this is an area for an improvement. It's just where Harvard hasn't been very good this year. Free throws attempted. Only 3 teams have made fewer than the Crimson. Columbia, there's Dallin getting involved in the mix. BU and Siena are the 3 teams that have made fewer. So they've got to get to the line more. In part, those numbers are down because of who they're missing. Bryce Aiken and Seth Towns, their 2 best players.
Yeah, when you don't have those 2 guys to put pressure on a defense, big time shot from Johnson.
He's got 10 as well.
Talk about shot-making ability. Johnson is one of those guys that could hurt you from beyond the arc. 49% from distance. Get that man some touches in the half court. Fixes all the problems.
Loose ball, it's Williams running ahead. Easy pair off the glass.
I think you want to get a timeout, not let this thing get away from you, but Baker has the solution down low. I think Baker's a guy. Look, he doesn't put up big-time numbers, I understand. But with his length, his ability to elevate, he's a guy that should log some heavy minutes for Harvard, and this feels like a Robert Baker game.
Count the bucket and 1 for Nasir Little.
Carolina fan base is clamoring for this guy to get more minutes. Coach Williams, play him more is what they're saying. Coach is giving him the opportunities. He knows he can do things like that. Talking with Coach Williams, very complimentary of his blue chip guy, saying he's the most explosive player Coach Williams has ever had. It's pretty high praise when you think about the guys that he has had on the floor. But as I watch Little, I know there's places he can grow to earn more time, and with the Coach Williams team, it's defense. Little can be better defensively, and those minutes will grow.
And in just 19 minutes a game, he's averaging 11 points. Cam Johnson made his last 3. Comes up empty on that one. 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. 37-28 the lead.
Good extra pass.
Juzang for 3. Back-to-back corner triples, 6 straight for Harvard.
Sometimes you watch the game and you just know a shot's going in because you executed good offense. The extra pass from Juricic allows Juzang to take the high percentage look from distance.
Fun matchup to watch here. Baker on Johnson.
Length on length.
Juricic tries to stop Little. No luck.
Little 19 minutes per game. Double-figure scorer, just a tick below 11 points per game. He's a microwave when he comes off that bench, and he's giving his Carolina team a spark. Oxygen.
And the Tar Heels looking to run. Woods with the inside-out dribble. Has it swatted by Bassie. Williams shot fakes his way into traffic and scores with the left hand.
Sublime decision from Williams. Had the 3, saw a gap, pursued the higher percentage opportunity, and delivered.
Juzang with the dribble. He's got a Harvard high 9 in the first half.
Gotta have it.
Kick to the corner. Juricic sends it long. Here comes UNC to end the first half. Johnson, he tucked it against his hip, and he turns it over.
And Johnson, I don't think he understood how much time he had there. Sometimes you look up, you think 9 seconds, I got to go fast. You had time to get that to your primary handler and then make a play. Get that to Williams. Let him do that. Fill a lane, catch and shoot.
2.6 for Juzang. A running two. And we've got a 10-point game at the break. But Harvard has been its own worst enemy, giving the ball away a good deal over the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, you cannot have 12 turnovers against a team that is far superior in talent. Can they fix it in the second half?
Halftime coming your way. Kevin Connors, Sean Farnham, and Columbia's own Dallin Cup. A 10-point lead for North Carolina on its home floor. They've led by at least 10 in every game except for their loss against Kentucky this year. May and Johnson with 20 points carrying the load for the Tar Heels. Harvard has kept itself in this game from 3. However, they've also hurt themselves by turning it over 12 times, and that's how they find themselves down 41-31 at the break. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. Mike Cousins, former Notre Dame big man Jordan Cornette. Glad you're with us tonight. If Harvard can correct the turnover issue, can they make it a comeback in the second half?
Of course they can, Mike. Look at the percentages. 45% from the field, about 50% from 3. They're getting good shots. They just got to take care of the basketball. And it's a domino effect. Because they're making those shots, Harvard, it's taken away the transition game for the most part from Carolina. But look, this is a 40-minute basketball game, and a lot of times you see the inferior team run out of gas a couple minutes in the second half. How long can they go before Carolina overwhelms them? That'll be the story here in the second half.
Well, they're a deep team, and they spread out their offensive opportunities in the first half quite a bit. Justin Bassey now has 4 points to go along with a team-high 7 rebounds. But they had 10 players, the Crimson, in the first half. Took a shot. Nobody took more than 4, though.
Yeah, and that great equalizer in the college basketball game, a 3-point shot. 5 of 10 is Harvard. If they continue to shoot it at an efficient clip from distance, they can hang around, and the more you hang around, you never know.
Garrison Brooks goes to the line. If you're joining us late, Brooks played a little bit more than he might have in the first half. No Sterling Manley today. The sophomore big man declared out a few hours before tip-off this afternoon. A sore left knee. No timetable for his return just yet. So even though Brooks had 2 first-half fouls, now to go along with 5 points, he did come back out onto the floor.
And look, Manley only averages about 4 and a hook per game, 4 and a hook on the glass. But at 6'11", he's a true rim protector. And for Harvard, that completely eliminates anything going to the rim if you have a piece like Manley who's healthy and ready to go.
Just the second shot attempt of the game for Corey Johnson, who's shot almost 60% from 3 the last 5 games. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Chris Lewis grabs the Harvard rebound. He sat almost the last 3.5 minutes of the first half. Interesting to see him not on the floor there. Forgot who's their leading scorer at 13 a game.
And Carolina found success with a smaller lineup to close out the half. That's how they kind of opened up a little bit of space and increased the lead. It'll be interesting to see if they revert back to that, and also how Harvard treats Chris Lewis if they go with that kind of lineup.
Bassey got challenged well by May, but the rest of the Tar Heels got caught looking, and Juricic drops it in. 7-point difference. White's pass tipped out of bounds, and it stays here. 24 on the UNC shot clock, as now we see Brandon Huffman into the game, replacing Garrison Brooks.
And look, you love what Kobe White gives this team. He's been, between him and Little, he's been the more successful in the start of this season of the 2 freshmen. But sometimes that speed in which he plays with can be detrimental to what Carolina wants to do. Sometimes you slow it down and take what the defense gives you.
It's part of the fun and part of the frustration of watching him play, watching this team right now, because you know there are so many good pieces, but they're not the team that they will be at the end of this month, at the end of February, and most importantly, come March.
Yeah, and another thing that Carolina may be lacking is that true low post, dump it down, get 2 points. But Luke May in a matchup like this can give you that. Don't get bored with that if you're the Tar Heels. Continue to pursue that in the half court.
Woods has it swatted off the backboard. How about that trailing play? Third block of the game for Harvard in emphatic fashion.
Harvard, their ability to not give up on the play, rushing back to protect the rim in the transition. They've had a couple sequences like that defensively. There are some athletes on this Harvard team. Don't get it twisted.
North Carolina with its 5th turnover. A leads the Tar Heels with 12. Cam Johnson behind him with 10. Juricic for 3, sent it over everything. And now North Carolina looks to run again with Woods at the front of the break. Pass inside for Huffman. Only averages about 3 minutes a game, ends up with a turnover, and here we are 3 minutes into the second half. Harvard hanging tight with number 15 North Carolina. And Lewis has the soft touch. Now 5 for the junior big man from suburban Atlanta.
It's a tough finish to go over Huffman. Huffman, without a doubt, a rim protector, shot blocker. Almost wonder if Coach Williams put him in to limit Lewis's productivity, but Lewis successful there.
Well, the reason that Brooks has started every game this year, now all 13 for North Carolina, is simply because he's been A, the best defender, but B, the most consistent among the big men for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, and in talking with Coach Williams before the game today, he made a great point. Said, those are the kind of guys. Hey, Jordan, you played the game, right? I said, yeah, I might not look like it anymore, Coach. And he said,
hashtag wedding day.
He said, well, those are the kind of guys you want to play with, right? That you know you can count on. And that's exactly what Brooks gives this team, stability. And that's a great thing. It doesn't have to be the guy who scores 20 points per game, but can make everything work and congeal together.
Hey, phenomenal passing sequence leads to a left block lay-in for the freshman Forbes.
This team's challenging Huffman down low. Not afraid of his size or strength.
Despite the less than stellar mood he might be in right now, Roy Williams was pretty chipper today during shoot-around. Something to do with a pound cake that was out in the hallway?
Good food will do it to you. Take a look there, a moving screen coming from the big fellow Welsh.
His first foul. Roy also was, by the way, a spectacularly dressed individual this afternoon. Pink sweater, black corduroys. He had it going on.
It was an enjoyable conversation, too, and he made it known immediately when he walked over to us. This is pink, and real men wear it. I said, all right, Coach, you're the legend. I ain't gonna argue with you.
If he's wearing pink in the first week of January, I would love to see the Easter outfit. Johnson locked up by Bassett. White from 17 feet, pure.
Inside the arc. In the half-court setting, the pursuit of two-point field goals needs to be on the mind of Carolina at all times. Not settling for the three-point shot unless it's a drive kick-out for a high-percentage one. Bully these guys by playing downhill and attacking the rim. It also allows for pristine offensive rebounding opportunity.
Out of bounds, North Carolina ball. Harvard was down by 10 at the break. It's just a touchdown now.
Who am I? I'm a freshman guard at North Carolina. A few things you don't know about me is that I'm really goofy, and my favorite movie is Monsters, Inc. Who am I? I'm Kobe White.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
The Monsters, Inc. reference.
We're all watching now as Kobe White, the 6th highest scoring freshman in the league, gets to the line with a chance for 3.
They call that producing, everybody, just as we designed it in the open floor. Kobe White with the finish. He is a blur in the open floor. Incredibly talented, wired to score the basketball, and a confident one as he's established himself on the national landscape as a freshman to watch.
Roy Williams says he pushes the pace as close to Ty Lawson as just about anybody they've ever had at the point guard spot.
Well, you watch him in that loss versus Texas, and when he dropped 33 points, going 7 of 10 from 3, that's when I became a firm believer in this young man's ability.
It was pretty impressive, too. You consider the strength of the league and some of the young players in the ACC. And he's the 6th highest scoring. A couple spots ahead of Nasir Little, who grabs that rebound and brings it up the floor. You've got Barrett and Williamson at Duke, Xavier Johnson at Pittsburgh, Winston Tabbs at BC, and then Jalen Horde at Wake Forest in action tonight. They take on Cornell, getting ready to see Duke at the Joel on Tuesday night.
I mean, the hair we've seen froze. He's had one at one point. Decided to throw that into, do we call that a man bun?
So who did it better, Mason Forbes or Kobe White?
I think Mason Forbes for Harvard. He had the Beyonce wind blowing in his hair thing going there in that shot, so he's the winner. Let that get in the way.
Forbes going for the reverse lay-in, comes from quite a basketball family as well. His dad played in Argentina, was with the Globetrotters for some time, and his sister Mackenzie this past spring was a McDonald's All-American and now plays for Lindsey Gottlieb at Cal.
A lot of people critiquing his game every night. Definitely a talented family, a talented young man. He was a freshman, a good finisher around the rim, highly athletic, shot blocker. Again, guys like this, in a matchup like this, opponent like North Carolina, you look at Forbes, you look at Baker, and you say, okay, 6'8", 6'11", move well on the perimeter, versatile defenders. We can use them this evening. So Forbes is another guy to look at down the stretch here. Can he produce for Harvard?
Harvard's ready to get home, would like to do it with a win in hand. White empty from 3. The second chance try for Brooks. He's going to the line.
A good shot from White allows for a good offensive rebounding opportunity for Brooks. Brooks, good offensive rebounding anticipation, carves out some real estate and elevates quickly to draw the foul. For this North Carolina team, you talk about the best offense for them. Sometimes it really is that missed shot because of their ability to rebound.
Welsh sits, Lewis comes back in. Lewis, their leading scorer on the year, 13 points a game. Right now, 5 points, 4 rebounds. And Brooks, who encountered early foul trouble today for the 3rd straight game, makes the lead 11 for North Carolina.
And this is the crossroads for a team like Harvard. And usually you see this in matchups where the talent is heavily in favor of one team. Can they continue to perform at a high level here at about the 13-minute mark? Or does Carolina start to establish themselves on their home floor and run away with it?
Now, Dallin Cuff mentioned at the half, turnover rate, how crucial that is for Harvard, how it's hurt them this year, and it's hurt them today. 15 turnovers in this game. Off the ball foul on Catchings. For Harvard, his first. May with it. He's got a game high 12. Thought about the 3. Instead, shovels it for Little, who rattles it in. 10 points for Nasir Little, who was just 1 for his last 13 from 3 coming into this game.
It's a beautiful offensive sequence for the Tar Heels. You have the drive to the baseline to suck the defense, a kick to May, and astutely the swing pass over to Little. When you talk about a team struggling from the three-point line this evening, these are capable shooters. It's the kind of shot they take from distance. That one, a beautiful one.
Brooks on Lewis. He's been a rejection machine tonight. 4th block for Lewis. It's the experience most people have when they apply to Harvard. Rejection. Kirkwood with the step back. Missed it wide. Forbes, the extra effort, and a fresh 30 seconds for Harvard.
Carolina, everybody wanted to run. Nobody wanted to grab the basketball and get it started.
Haven't gotten to see a lot of game from Kirkwood tonight with the spread opportunities that Harvard has had offensively. 10 players took a shot in the first half, but really high praise from Tommy Amaker for Noah Kirkwood, the freshman from Ottawa. Compared him to really the most decorated player they've had, Wesley Saunders, who we saw earlier in that flashback to the 2015 NCAA tournament. Coming out of Northfield, Mount Herman on the prep circuit and played for Brookwood Elite, a great grassroots program in Canada. There goes Little.
Got to get something here to stop the bleeding if you're Harvard. Got to find a way to convert here at the 11:53 mark.
Kirkwood's a capable scorer, coming off 19 points last time out against Mercer, just sitting at 5 after a missed 3. White aggressive and bumped on his way to the line. Where he's at his most dangerous is going full speed. He's at the free throw line when we come back to Chapel Hill.
And here's that beautiful offense, Mike. You get in the corner, the swing from White over to May, swing pass, cross-court defense, shifty. Little connects, all Carolina.
Will Eastern Washington be the first team to hand North Dakota State a loss this year? The Bison 14-0 play for the FCS championship game Saturday noon Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. You know Carson Wentz of the Eagles, he of North Dakota State. Don't forget about Easton Stick, 1 win away from becoming the winningest quarterback in FCS history. If he can just keep things pretty much status quo, other than that 2016 win by James Madison, it's been all North Dakota State as of late in FCS.
Looks like we've got a rivalry of the Alabama-Clemson variety with these two here. Let's keep in mind, it's not Carson Wentz's Philadelphia right now. It's definitely Nick Foles's these days.
You're going to hate on Joel Embiid like that. Big difference maker here in the second half has been Harvard's inability to make the three-point shot. They were 5 for 10 in the first half and 0 for 5 in the second. Point-blank range, they come up empty. Leaky Black for 3. He says, why not? Largest lead of the night for the Tar Heels. It's ballooned to 19. North Carolina leads Harvard by 19, 11 minutes to play, second half, a 15-1 run, and good things happen when you share the ball.
Kobe White setting the pace for this North Carolina team, as he does so often. And they're at their best, getting stops, running out in open space, and they get high percentage looks that they've started to convert.
Harvard shooting just 30% in the second half, getting good ball movement, but not been able to finish. Playing late into the shot clock has been the name of the game today. Third three-point try of the night from Johnson. He's come up empty each time.
And now the threes, as you get a foul down low on Black trying to defend the low post. These threes Harvard's now taking, they're not coming through good offense. It's not ball movement. It's not coming off a screen. It's not an offensive rebound to a kick out. It's desperation. So that's why you're seeing these not being converted, and then that domino effect comes into play. Carolina grabs that rebound, and they are gone with it the other way.
Harvard squad that brings back 99% of its scoring, but a good portion of that has not been on the floor yet this year. Bryce Aiken, Seth Towns, 2 guys Harvard is missing right now because of knee injuries. No timetable for their returns, but it's the reason why they were picked as the preseason favorite in the Ivy League this year. And you can just imagine how different, 1, this game could be, and 2, how dangerous the Crimson will be once they get into conference play.
No question. And when you think about
if those two
guys,
players return.
absolutely, Mike. I mean, because you think about what you're seeing now is a scoring drought. They've ran out of gas. They've hit a wall. Well, you push through that wall if you have a Towns or you have in Akins. Akins will be pushing the tempo, coming right back with the response to Carolina's speed. Those two things lacking, and that's why you see what's now a 19-point game. And maybe it's an 8-9 point game with them on the doorstep threatening, but a lot of game left.
Preseason number 1, we saw Penn knock off Villanova earlier this year. Yale has been constantly impressive over the last several years, and Princeton picked up a big win earlier this week against Arizona State, going out there, getting that victory. And Brown also led by as many as 34 points, knocking off San Diego State. And in watching, especially Princeton, talking with Mitch Henderson, the head coach there, and you'll hear this from other coaches around the league too, what Tommy Amaker has done in recruiting players within the ESPN 100 has raised the profile not just of Harvard, but of the entire league, because players say, well, I see what's going on at Harvard, let's establish that in Providence or in Princeton or in any other city around the ancient eight.
And there's name recognition there with Tommy Amaker. Guys, look, there's a lot of great coaches out there, but there's also something very alluring about a guy who played the game at the highest level, that relatability. And when you look at his record, it speaks for itself. He's a successful guy, and he knows how to recruit guys to continue that success.
May rolls his way to the basket against Forbes. Welsh clears it. Still a 19-point difference. Transition three, and some of those three-point tries from the Crimson, as you mentioned, have not been the prettiest.
I mean, Corey Johnson, that's a 41% three-point shooter. In his last 5 games, he's 13 of 23. That's 56%. That's a good look. Can't convert. Those are the things you need if you want to do the unthinkable and pull one off here in Chapel Hill.
Johnson's missed all of his three-point tries tonight, 0 for 4. It's almost an 8-minute scoring drought for Harvard. Blocking foul on the drop-off. Johnson tumbled his way through the lane and ran right through Bassi. Heart and soul of the Harvard program.
You love what Bassi's trying to do here, get in position, trying to anticipate just a step too late. Bassi trying to compete, give his guys something there, offer his body up to the basketball gods, to no avail.
It's been a great start to the year for Johnson, averaging 17 and 5. Scored exactly that in the win against Davidson. And later tonight, of course, after the end of our doubleheader with Oklahoma and Kansas, over on ESPN, 1 Eastern. Stan and Neil take you inside Luka Doncic's amazing rookie season for the Mavs, keys to Chargers, Ravens, and their rematch. Something tells me it has to do with Lamar Jackson. And then a look at the 3 college football playoff matchups between Alabama and Crimson. Alabama and Clemson. Alabama versus Alabama would be an interesting
It might feel
too.
like that for Clemson at points in the game. You never know.
Before their title game matchup Monday night from Santa Clara, California.
There's nothing going. The great equalizer in the college game, that three-point shot, has evaded this Harvard team for the lion's share of the second half.
5 for 10 in the first half, and the turnovers a thorn in the side as well tonight, as North Carolina has picked up 17 points off of Harvard's turnovers. No angle on that entry feed for Johnson, trying to find Forbes.
You almost look at that entry pass and you say Forbes is a youngster, needs to learn the tricks of the trade in the low post to keep that defender on the hip, to make himself the receiver that makes that catch.
Yeah, Kevin, they came in as one of 5 major conference teams without a top 25 win going back to the start of the 2016-17 season. The dubious company there, DePaul, Illinois, Ole Miss, Oregon State. And a tough streak continues for Nebraska, having lost 5 straight, being in the top 25. Their last win like that, December of '92 against Wichita State. After having missed the last 11 buckets, Harvard scores to make it 60-42, but it's just 3 points over the last 8 minutes or so for the Crimson.
Talking about that Big Ten, how about Michigan State? That's a team, once again, feels like one of Tom Izzo's special ones. And it all starts with point guard play. It's always linked to success there. Show me a better leader than Cassius Winston.
And also out of that conference, Michigan, one of 3 teams to have handed defeat to North Carolina this year, along with Texas and Kentucky.
Defeat in a big way. Michigan came out of the gates this season looking like your national champion. They've come down to earth a little bit. But again, Coach Beeline's done such a great job up there in Ann Arbor.
You mentioned them as a possible title contender. Who's your leader right now as we start conference play?
You know, obviously Duke gets a lot of talk. They're right there. I really like Kansas with Udoka Azubuike returning to that team, providing a punch down low. They've got a good blend of youth and experience. They play fast, have shooters, and a lot of offensive weapons. I like Kansas.
So you're taking experience over youth.
I like the blend. Give me all of it. You can win with youth, though. And you can win with Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett. Let me tell you, this ACC has a couple teams that may want to get on the horn and say, Mr. Cornette, let me remind you, we've got number 1, number 4, number 9, 10 here in Carolina, number 15. And then just down the way, number 18, North Carolina State. Really like what I'm seeing with North Carolina here. Vintage Roy Williams. Duke, we know about them. Virginia is a team I'm curious about. Virginia I'm curious about because they haven't truly been tested yet. A win over Wisconsin, yes. But how about that other team in Virginia? Virginia Tech, and I said it yesterday. I did that game versus Notre Dame as they hosted them, beat them pretty handily. I went on a limb. You ready for this, Mike? I said Virginia Tech, at this moment, feels like my ACC champion.
I don't know that I've heard anybody else make that prediction yet.
It wasn't a hot take, guys. I'm telling you. You watch this team. Yes, they're lacking true physicality down low, but they've got Blackshear at 6'10", who's a versatile piece, and a lot of weapons, three-point shooting. They play fast. It reminds me of those Buzz Williams teams from Marquette days. Deep bench, guys who can score it off the bench. They put up a heap of points.
So if we're going to take the pro side of your thesis here, White gets bumped by Welsh. It's a system that's now well ingrained with Buzz Williams having an established tenure there. Guys know what good shots are, what great shots are, what bad shots are, and they play and take such efficient shots. That is one of the things, minus the first half of yesterday's game when it got a little bit too close for comfort at halftime, where they can really beat you with their intelligence.
Yeah, Virginia Tech wears you down. I love defense too, and let me tell you, they are a suffocating defense. They just make it uncomfortable for the opposition offensively, incredibly disruptive, and it's one of those defenses that can key in offense. And when you get out and transition with that team, guys aren't filling lanes necessarily to the rim. They're filling them to the three-point line, and a lot of catch-and-shoot guys on that team. Guard play wins in March. I think it could lead this team, if it comes down to it, to a regular season championship.
Virginia still
Don't at me, bro.
Virginia still intrigues me the most, though, as far as a team that you could see winning the league.
DeAndre Hunter, no question. I just don't know who they are yet, and I'm not one of those guys deterred by the 16 seed loss last year.
You know who their coach is? You know who they are.
Yeah, Coach Bennett does a fantastic job, and we know what they do in the regular season. Outside of Wisconsin, their strength of schedule is not much at this point. You'll figure out who they are come conference play, and we're here.
They've got a good test, 3 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2 in Charlottesville at JPJ, Florida State, Virginia. It's a top 10 matchup.
It's going to be a great game. Florida State's a team I didn't get the chance to touch on right there. Just talk about vintage, your coach and his personality and the teams that he's won with. Leonard Hamilton's Florida State team. Experience, athleticism, defense, a tough-minded bunch once again. That's a dark horse team that people need to get familiar with. They seem to always fly under the radar. Florida State, really good.
Nice job using his posterior. Lewis getting inside position there with a size mismatch on the 6'2", 185, 7 Woods. Picks up his second foul.
I'm scared to look at my Twitter timeline after you had me go out there and talk about Virginia Tech in the ACC again, but I stand by it. I feel really good about it. And when you watch this Virginia Tech team, let me tell you, you'll be a believer.
Do you think it was skewed because it's a down season right now for Notre Dame with injuries, and yesterday having to leave a player at home, Nick Jogo, because he was feeling ill?
Yeah, no question. I'm not doing this off the basis of that Notre Dame win. Notre Dame's down and dealing with a lot of youth right now. Coach Bray turns water into wine, so don't count that team out. I had a chance to see them in Atlantic City versus Washington, and Washington's had their ups and downs. But the way Virginia Tech came out in that game, they make you play their kind of game. It's ready for a da-da-da, da-da-da right there.
We just got a frenetic game right now. Haskett for Baker. Real Haskett has been a nice spark of energy off the bench here for Harvard.
It's a grown man rebound for Mr. Little. Coming back to this North Carolina team, as they begin to figure out how to operate efficiently in the half court, got a heck of a lot of talent. And Coach Williams likes to use his bench. They've got depth. They can wear you down. The ability to pursue two-point field goals when they commit to that, beat you up down low, chasing offensive rebounds, not with your traditional bullies, but with length coming from the perimeter, a lot of versatile pieces. Really like this North Carolina team. You can't go wrong picking one of these ranked teams to win the conference, but don't just think Duke. Look outside of Duke. There's a lot of talented teams. I like Duke as well.
Williams with a three-pointer for North Carolina. He's got 11. The lead is 21.
As I talk about the shooting from North Carolina, Kenny Williams is a guy, his percentage is low, about 26% from distance. He's a guy that will find his stroke, and as he does, this team will continue to improve.
But good shooting or not, Harris Black fades away and scores. Williams has done a great job sharing the ball this year.
Doubled his assists per game. A guy that's really learned and understood this system and likes to get guys involved. Those guys you like to play with.
Lewis takes the bump, gets a pick. 3.5 to go. Number 15, North Carolina, looking to wrap things up in the non-conference. Go to 10-3 before they go on the road to the Peterson Event Center Saturday to take on Pittsburgh. 5 players with at least 11 today for UNC, heading toward win number 10 on the year. A fun top 25 matchup, the Big 12 right now with 3 top 25 teams. Throw in Texas Tech, which has got a challenge thrown its way tonight as well. And then K-State, TCU, Iowa State all getting votes for a league that sent 7 teams to the NCAA tournament last year. If you want to look beyond just the Associated Press top 25, Kent Pomeroy's top 25, you got 5 teams out of the Big 12 there in the top 25. And Oklahoma has been an intriguing team to start the year, picked 8th preseason. And now you see they sit inside the top 25 with how well they've defended inside the arc. And played the top non-conference schedule of any Power 5 school. So they're certainly battle tested tonight as they open up against Kansas. My cousin's Jordan Cornette with you here from Chapel Hill. We'll send you to Oklahoma, Kansas following this one. North Carolina looks for its 10th win of the year to finish up non-conference play 10-3. The loss would send Harvard to 500 at 6-6.
You get a glimpse of that athleticism from North Carolina. Turnover or a block shot from Baker. Thought it'd be a leak out. And as you throw that basketball up, the athletes from Carolina get the deflection. It goes right back the other way. Frustrating for Harvard team. Look, the game's out of question at this point, but that athleticism still on display for North Carolina.
They're getting ready to open ACC play Saturday at Pittsburgh, and reports are from Western PA that all the tickets have sold out for that. General admission tickets are sold out, so you got to go on the secondary market to pick things up for Saturday's game. And then a huge game coming Tuesday on ESPN in Raleigh at NC State. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, and you look at that North Carolina-Pittsburgh game, and Jeff Capel might be fired up for that one going against North Carolina, and the job he's done there at Pittsburgh. You look at a team that won 8 games a year ago, and I think they sit at 10-3 right now, so already starting to buy in to what he's doing there, and he'll be juiced to face Carolina, of course.
Lewis met at the rim by Black. And May runs the floor, puts it off the glass, the easy bucket. It's 14 for May. And he gets right to his season average. Talked about the pressure that he faced coming into this year with Coach Williams earlier, and he said he did think it's gotten to him a little bit.
Yeah, and it gotten to him in a way that he almost like to hear if it's going to be something like that. Absolutely not negative. Simply Luke May wants to make everybody around him better. He feels like it's on him to make sure Johnson gets his, White gets his, Robinson, Little, whomever. He's so unselfish, as you see right there. Point blank range, the dump down for the dunk finish to Johnson. He wants everybody to win, and sometimes you just got to go get yours, and Luke May's figuring that out. But an immense talent and worthy of all the accolades. Slips it right there. They're expecting the ball screen. Point blank range, dump off. Dunk finish, Cameron Johnson. Selflessness, making everybody around him better. That's what you want in your star. And that earns him a seat and a break. A walk-off like Costanza.
I suppose the point store called. They're running out of him. Now 11 straight games with at least 10 points for Luke May. Benches empty out both sides in the final minute. Preseason number 1 in the Ivy League, Harvard. They start Ivy play January 12th on the road at Dartmouth. The preseason number 3 team in the ACC, North Carolina, sitting behind Virginia at number 2 and number 1 in the preseason. Duke, which opens ACC play, coming your way Saturday. Number 1 Duke, Clemson meet at Cameron Indoor. Start of conference play for both teams, and the Tigers' leading scorer, Marquise Reed, playing with a knee brace, hoping to get back to 100% after an injury about a month ago. Somewhat reminiscent of last year when they lost Dante Grantham with a knee injury. So both teams getting back to action, and especially long layoff for Duke, which hasn't played since before Christmas when they got a nice challenge from Chris Beard and Texas Tech.
If you're a Harvard fan, nothing to hang your head on. This North Carolina team is a national title type contender. You came down here shorthanded without Seth Towns and Bryce Aikens. This team is going to make a lot of noise in that Ivy League. Competed for the better part of 30 minutes in this one, maybe closer to 25. But we're definitely there, and if they had more of the firepower, who knows what may have happened here. But Carolina clearly overwhelmed Harvard down the stretch.
When we're done here, our next game tonight, part of our doubleheader, Oklahoma and Kansas, as we take you out to Lawrence Fieldhouse to finish up the night of hoops. Should say Lawrence, Kansas, Allen Fieldhouse. What do you think Roy's reaction will be after this game?
Well, like all coaches, sometimes pleased but never satisfied. And I think he's going to talk about how he wants his team to come out ready to compete out of the gates. Really punch the opponent in the mouth, and they've got off to some slow starts. You look at Garrison Brooks, early foul trouble, which kind of tweaks things. But this is a team that started slow their last few, and he's always going to want to get better in the half court.
So North Carolina with the victory is now 10-3. They sit at number 15 in the country. Harvard falls to 6-6. 77-57 your final score after a 10-point lead for Carolina ballooned to 20 as the final margin. So on behalf of our entire crew, my partner Jordan Cornett, I'm Mike Cousins saying thanks for watching. So long from Chapel Hill. More hoops coming your way next, but first to the studio, here's Kevin.